when you think about you start at the quarterback spot, then you look maybe to add some pieces on the offensive side of the ball from a skill position standpoint, maybe address the running back, and you have an opportunity to make some noise again in the NFC East because I think they got a pretty good coaching staff. John, let me ask you this, though. What's the best-case scenario for the Washington football team this offseason?
The best-case scenario is obviously you find your franchise quarterback. I think that's going to be difficult because not many are available. And short of getting Deshaun Watson for in a package where you don't feel like you're killing your future, I think it's going to be tough. So I think the best-case scenario is to get a guy that you feel maybe you can get something out of, whether it's a Marcus Mariota, a Sam Darnold, maybe a change of scenery, and it maybe put him in a situation where they've grown a little bit, and maybe they become the guy that many thought they could be when they were drafted. But I think the key here is to continue to surround this offense with talent. So regardless of if you're bringing in a quarterback, the best case scenario is to get more playmakers on offense, get another offensive lineman, a tackle, probably in the draft, to then keep building up that offense to give whoever you get at quarterback a lot more support because they don't have enough right now.
John, a name you didn't have on your list was Cam Newton. Is he not an option that you think they want?
I don't see him as being an option at this point. No. I think you'd be looking more at a guy like, again, a Mariota, especially if he's released. And they are a team to watch with Sam Darnold. So I think those are more guys, some younger guys who, again, maybe they haven't hit that quote unquote ceiling yet. And maybe, again, change of scenery and surrounding with some more talent, and you have a defense like they do, can bring some better play out of them. But I think they're much more likely than Cam Newton at this point.
All right. With that being said, what's the worst case scenario?
That you don't find that guy, and that you end up with a guy who's much more of a one-year bridge to next year. Maybe it's a lower-end free agent, an Andy Dalton or someone like that, who is a guy that, they've started in this league, but they are what they are at this point, and you're bringing them in because you want to fill out that room and have another quarterback to pair with Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke to at least get, if you don't have that one guy, maybe you have three that you feel you can play with. And I think along with that, you don't add enough talent around them, because I think the whole key with this organization, and Ron Rivera has said, if they want to build a sustainable winning situation, well, that's going to rely on them hitting on some guys in free agency or the draft, playmakers. They've got to add those guys, because regardless of the quarterback, you got to add those guys. If they don't find those guys and you only get a bridge quarterback, that to me is the worst case scenario, because now you're not building on anything. You're just treading water, and they can't afford to do. And I don't think they'll end up doing that, but I think that would be the worst case.
John, we got 1 minute here. I want to just ask you this, where the organization stands from a macro sense. They won the division, but let's be honest, nobody's scared of them. They won 7 games, but their coach, as Keim said, did coach in the Super Bowl. So there's contradictions on both sides of it when I try to figure out where this team is. Where is the franchise right now in your mind?
I think where they're at is, again, that's a good question, because I think you have to put this in perspective for them. If you're them, that you did do this, but it was 7 wins, and they have to consider themselves still in the midst of a rebuild, and I think to a degree they do. Now, they did more than they thought they would last year because the division was what it was. But in talking to Rivera and hearing him on some of these press conferences, I think there's an understanding of that they're not going to rush into something just because now they won the division, right? So I think that's why he keeps saying build a sustainable winning future or culture, and that you can only do that by by getting guys you want, but not thinking that you're one step away from the Super Bowl, because they're not. And so I think they understand. I think they understand that, and that's the only way you can take it, because otherwise you're going to put yourself in a mess for the future. And they have a lot of guys coming up on that defensive line over the next several years. They need to be able to take care of those guys. If you abandon that approach, then you're going to struggle to keep guys that should be a big part of your future. So I think that's where they're at with it, that I think they understand that there's a lot more work to be done, but they're in a division where they can still contend while building up the rest of the roster.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.